all of you. And I truly hope that I'm a poster child for the kind of kids that if we want to roll out a country day. I mean, I don't want to be in a box that says I'm the geek, I'm the technology guy. One of my favorite days at Country Day is when we do the senior faculty basketball game. There is nothing worse than getting schooled by their technology guys. Nothing worse, I assure you. I still hear it. They talk smack. Oh, we're going to get you this year, Mr. Baker. So there you go. It hasn't happened yet this year. So I have people coming up, you know, taunting me, saying they're going to shut me down and all that good stuff. So I really do enjoy that, and that's really the message that I have. I mean, our kids. Excuse me while I plug in while I'm talking here. See if it turns on. Should. There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to talk to you about constraints, and I got a little cheat sheet. I want to make sure I don't forget to say anything. Constraints and misconceptions. I'm going to talk to you a little bit the way I talk to the attendees at our tablet conferences. We do have about 100 educators every year, over 100, come from every continent. We have had every continent except for Antarctica, not too hopeful. And South America, I'm not sure why we're not in South America, but we'll get someone eventually, I hope. And they come because they've heard, just through word of mouth, we don't do any advertising, about what we're doing. And constraints is a word I use ad nauseum because at the end of the day, my job description is trying to remove every constraint that exists so that educators and kids can learn in creative and meaningful ways. I don't want kids to just have to type. If we're going to have devices, I want devices that can be creative tools, not copy machine type tools. And I spend so much time trying to remove those, and we're almost there. I'm actually going to end the presentation with a we're taping this, I just realized that. Okay, we'll trim that off. But actually, I'm going to share a slide. I had to sign a non-disclosure. I've actually been working with Fujitsu a little bit, developing their next generation, so I've had a little input into it, and we're right now killing ourselves to try to get this rolled out next year. It looks like they're going to miss our window by a week or two. But we're going to make it happen. I'm confident in my team, and I think we'll figure out a way to get this done. And I hope you want the device at the end of my little talk here as much as I know that you do. So I'm actually a parent. I actually know almost all of you have a 5th, a 7th, and a 9th grader. And if you're like me, the reason I'm talking to you like you're at a tablet conference, you don't necessarily know a lot of what's going on in your children's lives. Maybe you're better at squeezing it out of them than I am. My daughter, the 5th grader, I'm still good there. I can still get a lot of detail from her. But my 7th and 9th grade sons, I had no idea, and I work there. It's unbelievable. And I hope you're in the same boat, and I'm not just a bad parent. But one of the big misconceptions we get from these people that come, and we get schools that have been doing it for years. I mean, just to make sure everyone knows, we were the first school in the nation to go 1-to-1 in 1996. First school. I mean, it was heresy back then. People thought we were crazy, but everyone wanted to come and see it. They wanted to come and see this novel idea, and that's why we have 4 successful and very profitable tablet conferences. I say that not to brag, but because I don't think there's, I don't think there's any better example of our program and how well it is known internationally, and the fact that these people are willing to spend $650 per person to come and see what we do, to experience it. These are 3 days events. We open the school up to them. The whole reason we run these tablet conferences, it's nice to make a little coin and all, but we really are trying to create an environment where schools can come in and try to emulate what we're doing. And I can't emphasize enough how changed these schools are when they see what we're doing the way we're doing it. Whether they've been doing it for years or whether they're just thinking about it and are frankly scared to death at the idea of their children having a laptop or a tablet PC available all the time. First misconception, Country Day, the technology is so ubiquitous, we're trying to create cyborgs at Country Day. You know, we want them to walk around, everyone should be an engineer or a computer scientist, and that's just not the case. It's the exact opposite. And everyone in this room knows what an amazing place that your children are a part of. It's very strong in liberal arts. Our children are very creative. I like to call them creative problem solvers. And there are some amazing ways to facilitate that if you have the right device. And that's why we have tablet PCs. That's why we can use a stylus, because it removes more constraints. I can't emphasize enough what a big part of the educational process, sketching, highlighting, annotating, all that stuff, creating great works of art. That's a huge part of the educational process. And it's not just writing it on a screen. The misconception is you know, it just converts handwriting to text. You know, why would you bother? But it's so much more. And whenever I speak, I've spoken to a lot of people, I always just like to show examples. Nothing speaks better than what the faculty and the students are doing. At the end of the day, I love being a part of all this, and I am in the classroom. That's my favorite thing to do, to be with the kids. I can't do it enough. I got too much other stuff going on, but I get to do it a little bit. But great faculty and amazing students, when they're empowered with devices like this, it's unbelievable the things that they are able to do. And part of the title of my speech is supposed to be humanizing education, and I would argue that that's exactly what these do, and that's why we have tablets. That's why we're able to write on it. Because one of the biggest gains we have at Country Day is that you can preserve your class time. Misconception number 2. Well, you've got the technology. 1, you're creating cyborgs, and everyone's an engineer. Not true. 2, you must use these 94.6% of every class day, because you got them and you got to use them. Well, I mean, some classes, I guess you use them a lot, but a lot of what we get is that we don't have to use them because you can outsource the stuff. And you can compare and contrast and talk about what the teacher knows you want to talk about. And if you can outsource it and make it possible to, even the little things. We use OneNote, and we're doing a really cool thing with OneNote. We've been doing it for 5 years. A majority of classes, I am so proud to be able to say this, majority of classes at Cincinnati Country Day School don't have a notebook. They write on their computers. And the reason that's cool is because you don't waste any class time turning the paper in, collecting it, marking it up, losing it, looking for it, finding it, then finishing it, and then returning it. I mean, I don't know if there's any teachers, but as a teacher, I'm scared to death to collect stuff, because I'm going to lose something. It's all, they rip them off, they got 2 sheets, it fell in a puddle.
Dog-ate.
Yeah, there you go, dog-ate it. So just that thing, just the fact if you use OneNote, it's just collaborative. I mean, collaborative is a very key word in technology integration, and we just do it as part of the deal here at Country Day. And that's great because then there's more time to focus on the stuff you want to focus on as a teacher. And there's no way for me as a director of technology to know what that is, and I shouldn't know. Too many places, technology is a place to go. That's the vast majority of schools in the world. It's 10:30, it's Tuesday, time to go to the lab. Now, they'll probably do some interesting stuff, I hope, when they get there, but that's not authentic. I mean, it's great they're getting exposed to it, but in our paradigm, you use it when you need to, or when it makes something better. And that's what, what's the word I'm looking for? Authentic integration is. Authentic integration isn't a bulleted list of 20 things that you do as an educator to enhance the teaching and learning process. You sort of have to figure that out for yourself because it's different. It's different by teacher and age and grade, and there's just so many things that I would never think of, although I think I'm a pretty good teacher and a creative one. Let me show you a couple of images. I love this one because this is an archaeological find. The next device we roll out next year will be the 10th tablet that we rolled out. It's been a decade. We've been doing this for a decade. Tablet, not laptop, tablet. This, I believe, is the first thing ever created in a school on a tablet. Because Toshiba came in 2002, before you could buy them, and let us use the handmade prototype. They said, can we take this and let some people play with it until you leave? And they're like, yeah, I don't know why they did that, but they let us. And so clearly the teacher, I know what the teacher did, plugged this into a projector, picked a student they knew was a pretty good artist, and I think they obviously were talking about the layers of the earth. And this is a great example. And again, without knowing what the device was, they did this and they emailed it to the whole class because we were already kind of set up for that, even though we didn't have tablets. So I really like to start with that, and I think it speaks well. I want you to think about a school, if you, or maybe you've done this, because I'm getting kind of old, a college class where everyone has a laptop. I mean, it's such an unfortunate thing to me. I mean, they're awesome copy machines, but that's at the end of the day pretty much what they are. They're not becoming great problem solvers, I don't think. They're becoming great copy machines. I mean, just give it to them and talk about something that you want to talk about. And we're able to do that. There are so many examples. So many examples where digital ink makes sense. And it doesn't make sense all the time. Sometimes I want to type. I'm swiveled now. Sometimes I'm fully swiveled. Sometimes I'm not swiveled at all. Sometimes I write. Sometimes I type. Sometimes I do both. Sometimes I use pictures. That's my point. That's what I mean, that is my focus, is to make it as easy to do anything you can imagine as it is to hand out a piece of paper. And we're almost there. I can't emphasize enough that teachers at Country Day, is that any here? They make assignments all the time that they couldn't do. All the time. So here's the assignment. Let me give you an example. I would like a 60-second video in French pretending that you're on a job interview. And they say, like, make sure it's in the Dropbox, because they know that Dropbox means that they can see them. That's it. Now, if they had to do that, they'd be in trouble. And I'm cool with that. I think that's great. Because that's my point. Removing constraints. It's not about the technology, but we have an amazing built-in camera. We've got Windows Movie Maker that they can edit it. And at the end of the day, the teacher just clicks on it and assesses how they did. And the dirty little secret is when stuff's digital, audience affects effort. I can't say, let me say it again, audience affects effort. Our kids know that that video is going to be watched, shown to the class, critiqued significantly by their peers, and that's significant. And there's no other easy way to do that. I couldn't have done that. What if you had to do that when you were in high school? I mean, can you do that? Another great example. Again, I just want to make sure everyone, because again, I know you have a sense, but I bet a lot of you don't really know some of the really amazing things that are going on. So Spanish, I was a horrible Spanish student. I hate to admit it, but I took 2 years and I ran for the hills in high school. I feel bad to this day. My son's in French. He's 10th grade. He's 9th grade. Excuse me. He's pretty much fluent. I'm amazed and in awe of that. But one thing I remember on a fairly regular basis, my Spanish teacher would stop class for like a week because she had to take every single student out in a hall to see if they actually had any idea how to speak Spanish. In general, I did not do well that week. But a great example at Country Day, because we have these, they outsource that. They never do that because they send an MP3 file to their kids. I bet you a lot of you have heard your kids doing this at school. And we don't do it because it's hokey or because we want to be electronic. We do it because that's awesome. And another dirty little secret, the kids will do it more than once because they want to get it right. Audience affects effort. I'm sure the teachers are outraged that the kids would do their project more than one time to get it perfect. I mean, there's just so many examples of what the constraints are and why we have tablet PCs. I think another misconception, we have tablet PCs so that we can have tablet conferences and have people come and we can say we're cool with technology. It's the opposite. The conferences are a result of us having tablets and what they enable us to do. Again, the only reason our tablet conferences exist, I've never advertised, I've never done anything, ever. None of us have, and they're sold out. This year, we cap it at 30 because we do classroom visitations, we want it to be authentic. I ran it at 43 instead of 30 in my last one in April, and I still had to turn 13 educators away. I didn't tell them no. So again, I think it's a great way to emphasize what's going on here, because that is a misconception, and that's not the way it is. It's really impressive, the creative things that can happen. This is from my class. I'm teaching some of your kids right now. Cyber art, 6th grade. It's such a cool class. I love it. And I'm telling you, I've got 19 6th graders in the class right now. It's the last bell. It's an hour. I mean, it's challenging. Come on. I want everyone to feel for me, but I'm getting through it. But it's so worth it, because here's what happens. At the end of the day, they look at a lot of art they probably would never look at. They get exposed to Photoshop, which is a huge part of it. But the reason I want them to know about Photoshop, I want them to know about Photoshop because I start by showing videos of models that have been Photoshopped. I want our kids to be skeptical consumers. Everything you see, you should doubt. Everything. I don't care if it's a video or if it's a picture, and it's unbelievable. And that's part of life. That's part of our human nature now. And you should know about that, and you should be skeptical. And that's really the guys that we teach Photoshop under. And this is a short class. I never stand up there and spend the whole period saying, here's how you do this, this, and this. I show them a couple things and I tell them to explore and see what happens. And we always end with a project, and this projector isn't matching up with my thing. But the project is to start with a great work of art, pose and maybe use something, and then end up with you being part of the painting. And some are great, and some aren't great, but they all try, they all see some art, and it's a fun class. There's lots of energy. Again, 19 this time, wow. They're going around like, oh, because yesterday, my class yesterday, we were just picking the art. People are like, oh, you got to do this one, this is you. It's so exciting and interesting to them. And I mean, these are cool videos, these are cool things to show that it enhances, it allows you to be more creative. There's no way to do this if you didn't have the technology. I show this one, I gotta tell you. He's got a lot of guts. Right? Am I right? I can do this one. example of what this kind of technology enables. This isn't just a 10-minute thing. This takes days and days, and you try to get the skin just right. See how he has this, he's trying to get his head cocked. There's someone holding a photo up there, telling him. They'll take a picture, they'll go back, like, no, you blinked. Let's go back and do it again. It's a very collaborative, it's an authentic experience. You've got an end product that they think is really cool, and again, the technology empowers it, it doesn't limit it. I bet a lot of you have never seen this on your kids' machines, but a lot of this is going on. This is, again, I can't emphasize enough. Again, think back to your history of turning in that rough draft. That's what this is. But our kids, if you're using OneNote shared notebooks, they don't print anything out and hand it in and wait until the next class that you see the instructor. They put it in OneNote, which automatically goes to the teacher's computers, because I've got it syncing all magically and stuff in the background. And all this ink is just the teacher doing what he wants to do. He's not typing. You know, before we had tablets, you know, we're trying to make business tools, educational tools, and it doesn't work great. You know, we tried to, you know, you can highlight it and have the bubble comment show up in Word, and there's all kinds of hokey stuff. That's not what you want to do as an English teacher. This is what you want to do. You know, you're an English teacher, big cup of Starbucks, you know, you kick back in an easy chair. I'm assuming red's good, green's bad. There's a gray down here, but my point is, this can be instantaneous. So we have it set up now that if, this is Greg Martin's work, if he does this at 7 o'clock at night that night, it instantly syncs to the kids. They're getting it almost in real time. And that's compelling and powerful and time-saving, and lets him focus on other stuff instead of, even, you know, even before we did this, I'm greedy. I'm always trying to make it easier to do something. And so many interesting things happen when you have a creative tool like this. These are some amazing examples of pedagogical integration. It's not very teacher here, right? But I hope they don't look like that. I mean, this, I know what was going on in these, and so I know what a big deal it is. This is a result of a discussion based on primary sources. A class read a bunch of primary sources, and their goal was to draw what Roman soldiers would look like based on actual primary sources they read. Well, that's cool. This, you remember this? The 2-point perspective thing? I remember this because I remember middle school, I had it, and I remember they handed out the final piece of paper, the one that was going to be graded. I was scared to death because you got an eraser mark on it, you lost points. Well, think about what we can do. You slap a straight edge on this, you can prototype. Because now, if you never thought about it, Control-Z applies to everything that you do. And that's subtle, but a big, huge deal. What if Control-Z, everyone in here has used Control-Z for something. What if anything you did?
Never knew about it.
Oh, there you go. There we go. We'll talk about Control-Z afterwards. But again, just some really good examples. Taking notes. Taking notes is not typing on a keyboard. There's all kinds of fancy research that says handwriting and writing is better. I would argue that this is a pretty good set of notes on cell structure. Show me how to do that on a different device. And do you do that every day? No. I don't know if this is an assignment or a result of a conversation. I don't know if a kid did this and sent it to the whole 9th grade. Because again, I just want, if you didn't already know, I want you to know what a big deal this is, because it can be everywhere. We definitely have some kids that are doing amazing work at Country Day and have some limitations. I mean, maybe they're an amazing student and they have some reading issues or something. There are specific programs that these kids put on this machine to personalize it, to make them successful, that there's no other easy way to do. And every kid isn't the same. It's not the same tool. There's a bunch of different tools that kids are able to take advantage of. You know, e-readers. We've got people reading books for the kids that need a little extra help or need extra practice. But if you put this thing in the hands of an artist, amazing things happen. You don't have to be a starting artist anymore. If you're an artist now and you want to be digital, you want a Wacom active digitizer. It's called a Cintiq. It's like $5,000. It's huge. So if you've ever seen a video of someone designing cars for GM, they're still holding on. They're writing on a big Cintiq. So if you want to be a creative person, that's what you want. And lots of people want it. And it's unbelievable that all of my users, 10-year-olds to 18-year-olds, have that. And cool stuff happens as a result. Because this is important. It's not, the fineness of the ink is a big part of this and what lets us do all this. So here's our current device. Again, remember, I'm trying to remove constraints so that amazing faculty and students do amazing things. And I'll be blunt, we matriculate extremely well here. And you know what? I think we should. We've got amazing students. Your children are amazing. But I want to focus on the journey. What's the journey look like to get to the seniors and to get to those amazing colleges and be the leaders of the future? I don't know what the kids want to lead in, but they're going to be leaders. We're creating future leaders at Country Day. We absolutely are. I guarantee any leadership position, whether you're a clothes designer or a CEO of a major corporation, is going to have some technology involved. And I think our kids have such a huge leg up. And we have a huge leg up, and misconception number 4, Country Day has computers, so every kid must take 5 technology classes every year. How do you do the core stuff? And again, it's the opposite. They just use it when it's appropriate. We have no technology classes, as it turns out, pretty much. We would never, I'm shooting me in the head. A semester-long class on how to use Word? Come on, you highlight it and look around and figure it out. That's not a class. But if you go to a normal school, that's a class. I think, personally, that that's crazy. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. So removing constraints. Here's what we have right now. It's the device I have. It swivels. It's called a convertible tablet PC. I've gotten rid of every single constraint except for one. I have all-day battery. I've got beautiful pinch and zoom capacitive touch. I've got a stylus I can write anytime I want to if I want to. But when I'm swiveled, it's a little heavy. So weight is the last thing that I don't have. And next year, and that's what I spoke to about working so hard to try to get it, is what I'm going to try to get. I actually want something that looks like this. This is too small and it's Android, so I don't want it. But you get the idea. I want the tool to fit the task. I don't want the task to somehow square peg round hole into the tool. That's what too many people do, and you shouldn't do that. Here's the non-disclosure thing that I'm not supposed to show. So if anyone says I showed this, assuming we can get this out the video, I'll deny it. But this is Fujitsu's new hybrid. I actually got to talk to him about this about a year ago, and this is what I'm trying to get rolled out next year. And we're supposed to miss it by 2 weeks. And if you didn't get it, or you didn't, let's just get iPads, or let's just get a regular laptop, this is the device. I've wanted this device since I moved here. I moved to Cincinnati to run the show here. And I hope that I'm doing a good job. I really feel like I'm doing what I was born to do. I'm very passionate about this. But it's, iPads. We get iPad schools that come to the tablet conferences. They want to see how they stack up. In general, they don't leave very happy. I like to say, I don't dislike iPads. I don't have one. I've got a Kindle Fire. It sits on my couch like a lot of you, and I do lots of stuff on it. Because there's lots of stuff you can do. But at a school, you roll one device out. And this is the device I want. I want them to be able to do everything. But I do want to rip the screen off. I do want that tablet thing. But I don't want it to be 2 devices. This makes it everything. This is everything that you want. If you're that English teacher and you're in your robe, you got the big Starbucks or Cocoa or something, and you want to rip the screen off and sit down and kick back and just mark them up, then you just rip the screen off and do that. If you're typing a 400-page letter to the editor, slap it back on, use the keyboard, you got a trackpad, but everything's there. You don't give anything up. There aren't any constraints. So that's my argument today, is that technology enhances the experience. It doesn't take away from it. And I think one of the best compliments I ever got, 2 years ago, Intel sent some people to come and see what we did, because they do some tablet work. And it's the best compliment I ever got. They walked through, we gave them the tour, we talked about what we're doing, and they asked me a lot of questions, and they both said, you know what, I was struck when I walked in the front door at Dining Terrace. It was like we were walking to our campus. This place had the same feel. And I don't know if you've ever thought about that as parents, but you get more and more freedom as you get older at Country Day, and I'm telling you, that's a big deal. Okay, we're giving your children some rope to hang themselves, ladies and gentlemen. and that's a good thing, because sometimes they trip up, and then we get to help them. But they're using their time wisely because they figured it out. And these can be a distraction. But on our acceptable use policy, my favorite point on our acceptable use policy is be aware of the distractions your tablet can present. That is the stuff you should be focused on in education. Because we've all done it. I've been working and all of a sudden it's a half hour later and I'm seeing if the band I used to hang out with at the beach is still together. And I found out that they are, and it's on the 9.2s I can download. I mean, I'm hoping everyone's had that experience, because it happens sometimes. All of your children, if they're like mine, are positive that they can multitask. They can text, do their homework, have the TV on in the background, and be playing some music, and they're good. And that's not true. It's just not true. So we talk about that at school, and you should be talking about that with them as well. You know, does it make sense to flick your wireless off to get something done? Should you take breaks? Can you really multitask? And all our kids sort of work through that. And it's just authentic. The tool is just, it's ingrained in Country Day. It's just part of the deal. How am I doing with time? I haven't looked. Am I done? Okay, I'll wrap up. 2 examples. I just taught a techno class, 5th graders. At the end of the year, I work with the 5th graders. And it was such an amazing class. And speaks, I wish you were there. I wish I would have taped it, because it speaks well to this. We were using the computers. Everyone had their computer on, but that had nothing to do with what we were doing. I was talking about the brain and eyesight and how you can trick the brain into other stuff, and we're looking at memory. It was such a great, fun, engaging thing. I was walking around the classroom. Everybody wanted to offer their opinions. And the reason I could be so engaging is because I could do some stuff on the tablets. And that's really what if you didn't already know, I hope you know now, and that you take it away. Stock market, a high school stock market killed it, right? They made an amazing presentation. Or in New York, the middle school stock market. Middle school stock market, we've won like 9 of the last 11 years. That's very statistically significant. And I don't think the tablets are like the main reason, but it definitely has something to do with it. They definitely can just, it's not a class. At a lot of schools, that's a class. That's an elective, and as part of the elective, you do it. Susie Lewis just sort of does it on the side. And they turn in their research, and she helps them and talks about it. Upper school killed it at the presentation. They had a tablet. I'm assuming they used PowerPoint. I don't know. But they never had a PowerPoint. Again, talking like I talk, being a good presenter, and sharing knowledge, and using perfect PowerPoints. Because I think a perfect presentation, I'm not using PowerPoint, in case you didn't notice, doesn't have any words on it. And everyone, I'm sure none of you have ever made one, but I bet you've been part of a PowerPoint presentation where there were 4,000 words on every piece of page. Every single slide, and then in the worst case, they read it to you, right? Oh, dang, you're really killing me. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys about this. I wanted to make sure you knew why we use what we use. We don't use it because we want to be cool. We use it because, again, amazing things are happening, and I am focused on removing constraints. And if nothing else, the tablet conference, I think validate what we're doing. Because I assure you that people leave here absolutely blown away at the quality of our kids, not the quality of our technology program, the quality of our kids. Rob always speaks to me that people came in and said it's an amazing place, and they are. The kids are confident. You'd be so proud of them, how comfortable they are speaking to adults and sharing and collaborating. And this does have something to do with it. They do swivel a lot. The kids are always swiveling and saying, look at this. I bet you've seen that, right? So anyway, that's my spiel. I appreciate the time, and I hope everyone learned a little something, and I didn't go too far over. Thanks.